What's going on, everybody? Jan716, aka Jan Sports, back here again. And today, I want to talk to you guys quickly about the Baltimore Ravens versus Kansas City Chiefs Monday night matchup, one of the most anticipated games of the year. And it didn't quite live up to the hype. I mean, we got some good football, but it didn't live up to the hype that everyone thought that this was going to be a close game. The Kansas City Chiefs dominated this game, even though the score was 34-20. But man, the Kansas City Chiefs completely dominated this game. They did a phenomenal job of containing Lamar Jackson, not just in the late in the game, not just in the running game, but also in the passing game. Like, they did a phenomenal job of really stopping these receivers, not really getting Nick Boyle and Mark Andrews going. Primarily Mark Andrews. I know Andrews had an off day. He definitely missed a touchdown opportunity. But for the most part, the Chiefs defense, that Chiefs secondary, which a lot of people, thinks that it's just an average or to maybe an above average. You can make an argument that's an elite secondary, right? The Chiefs they have a very underrated secondary. They can definitely rush the passer with Frank Clark and, of course, Chris Jones, who's arguably the second best interior defensive lineman in the NFL, right next to Aaron Donald. But yeah, that and Chiefs defense entirely did a phenomenal job of containing Lamar Jackson, not really letting him get going. Right, even if Lamar Jackson had certain bursts or had certain moments, because he had 86 rushing yards in this football game, it was just the passing game where he just couldn't really get it going. Now, again, one of the things about the Baltimore Ravens, one of the things about Lamar Jackson is that the Baltimore Ravens is an unstoppable force. I mean, that offense is unstoppable, especially when it comes down to the running game. Like, every single game, the Ravens, you're gonna see 100 yards or more from that running game almost every single game. Just because of how Greg Roman really sets that offense up, running two tight end sets, how physical and how athletic that offensive line is, and the amount of backs that are coming in with Lamar Jackson as the added running threat. The Baltimore Ravens are definitely they're going to get over 100 yards on you almost every single game, especially with those type of players. But in the passing game, you can limit them, right? The run pretty much sets up the pass in this offense. Lamar Jackson, of course, this is where he gets criticized as a passer, even though I think that he's improved as a passer. But against certain defenses, if you can somehow, some way limit those receivers, if you can somehow, some way make those tight ends not really a factor in this game, it's gonna limit Lamar Jackson. And this is where the Baltimore Ravens normally show signs of having trouble. So I definitely think that the Kansas City Chiefs did a phenomenal job of limiting the Ravens receivers, doing a good job of whether it was man coverage, whether they were playing off coverage. For the most part, the Kansas City Chiefs pretty much did whatever the hell they want to do with these Baltimore Ravens receivers. Again, limiting the tight end sets, and not really letting Lamar Jackson really get going in the passing game. So they did a phenomenal job on that. The Kansas City Chiefs, on the other side, the Ravens couldn't stop them. The Ravens did get a couple of stops, of course, but it was with the turnovers. There were also a couple missed field goals in this game, in this game too. Like Kansas City could have easily scored 40 something points on the Baltimore Ravens, if not close to 50 points on this Ravens defense, if it wasn't for those two field goals and even one of those turnovers on that drive with like Damian Lewis. Because on both those turnovers, Kansas City was marching down the field. Right, I think one of them they fumbled. I think both of them fumbled. I think either at the 50 or across late into Baltimore territory, somewhere around the 40-something yard line. But Kansas City was moving down. Kansas City, pretty much for the entire game, was moving down the field at will, guys. I mean, they were moving down the field at will against this Ravens defense. And again, the Ravens, they have one of the best defenses in the league, arguably the best cornerback duo, they still have one of the best secondaries, but the best cornerback duo in the league with Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey. And you saw Tyreek Hill make plays. You saw Miko Hardman definitely make plays. He had a touchdown reception. You saw Clyde Edwards-Helaire finally utilized in the receiving game. Again, Kansas City, he's a great runner, but you can also utilize him as that feature back. You can also utilize him as a receiving back. You can line him up out wide. You can put him in the slot, or you can catch the ball at the backfield. And he was a huge factor with 70 receiving yards. And you saw just how much of a mismatch, whether if he was on a safety or a line or outside linebacker, you saw that mismatch with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, trying to really line up against other defenders for the Baltimore Ravens, whether, again, it was the safety or whether the linebacker was on him. Patrick Mahomes couldn't be stopped. I mean, 363 yards, or I think he actually had a little bit more than that. I mean, the dude, you just could not stop Patrick Mahomes. He was, whether if he was, whether if it was in the passing game or whether he took off. Patrick Mahomes, that offensive line, which did a phenomenal job against that defensive line with Matthew Judon and Calais Campbell leading the charge. Offensive line, I felt like did a phenomenal job in the pass blocking game. The Kansas City Chiefs just couldn't be stopped, and it's scary. It's actually kind of scary because if the Ravens really couldn't stop them, and again, the score says 34-20, but the Kansas City Chiefs dominated this football game. The Chiefs easily could have put up 40. They should have put up 40 points if it wasn't for those two missed field goals. And then you also have to count those turnovers, which Kansas City was moving down Baltimore's throat. So Kansas City easily could have scored over 40, easily should have scored 40 points this game, if not even more than that, closing into the 50 gap. Yeah, if Baltimore really couldn't stop it, then who the hell can stop him? They do play the New England Patriots, which is, for the most part, New England Patriots are 2-1, and they had a very close game with, that loss against the Seattle Seahawks with Cam Newton being stopped at the goal line. Maybe the New England Patriots can find an answer of how to stop this machine. I know the Chargers were very close to beating the Kansas City Chiefs, but was that an off day for Patrick Mahomes, or did the Chargers just have the certain blueprint to stopping him? We'll find that out, but we'll find that out if they match up again, or if other teams can really emulate what the Chargers did to really slow down this Chiefs offense. But man, I mean, these receivers, whether it was Harden, whether it was Watkins, whether it was Robinson, whether it was Tyreek Hill or Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming out the backfield, the Chiefs just have what. I didn't even mention Travis Kelce. I mean, the Chiefs just have way too many damn weapons with a really good offensive line and with arguably a top 10 defense and with a phenomenal coaching staff and great front office. I mean, the Chiefs are primed once again to winning the AFC Championship game. And, this and not just winning the AFC Championship, but primed to potentially win another Super Bowl. The second best team, I would say, was the Baltimore Ravens. Like, I love Seattle. My Buffalo Bills are 3-0. The Green Bay Packers have performed great, but I think really I think the Baltimore Ravens are the only team, maybe the New England Patriots, that can maybe dethrone the Chiefs from repeating and going back to the Super Bowl. And just looking at this performance, man, it is going to be hard for any team to try to knock the Kansas City Chiefs off of the mount. But yeah, guys, a lot of credit has to go to the Chiefs. The Ravens defense did what they could. They forced a couple turnovers. Baltimore's offense wasn't they just didn't have enough juice to try to get it going. And it's going to be very interesting to see what teams can finally figure out that formula and slow down the Kansas City Chiefs there. So anyway, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure to like the video, share the video, and also to subscribe. My social media also will be below the description below if you guys want to check those out as well. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for you guys today. So anyway, guys, Jan716, aka Jan Sports. I'll check you guys a lot later. Peace. Have a good night.